Let's talk about inconsistency for creatives versus the people that maybe they're so on the nose and so precise, but maybe they've lost some of the creative flair. I happen to see a lot of people that are inconsistent, be incredibly creative and actually have brilliant ideas, they just don't follow up on them.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, the ones that actually do follow up, sometimes the creativity or the flair still needs to be fleshed out. So how do you nurture both types?
Well, you really have to look at writing as a job rather than a muse, right? It's Larry Karaszewski and Scott Alexander talk about, they wrote People versus O.J. Simpson and Larry Flint and a whole bunch of biopics and biodramas. And they talk about this is a job and we go into work even when we don't feel it. And some days the writing's great and some days it's horrible, but it's the work. Sometimes you have to write through a lot of horrible pages to get to some good pages. And I'm a big believer in that. You know, sometimes you have to try something different. You know, so it's staying agile and open to the different ways to access creativity. Sometimes it's rejecting creativity and just going for inspiration, and through inspiration getting back to creativity. But you have to accept that what works on one script will likely not work on the next. And so you always, always, always have new tricks to try in your writing, new ways to access the work, new methodology to follow, new things that will inspire you. You know, and if nothing else, then, you know, you go and do something for fun, because fun begets motivation. So whether your fun is dancing or hiking or jogging on the beach or whatever it is, you usually come back pumped up and excited. That said, you know, creativity is tough to always channel. So a lot of my writers rely on meditation, on regular workouts, on tracking systems to set their expectations for what they're going to create and when. You know, a lot of self-journals, a lot of goals and targeting, so that at some point your system begins to understand that you have to show up whether you feel like it or not.
What are those tracking systems? That's really interesting.
There's something called self-journal that a lot of my clients use that is a planner, a task-driven planner with short-term goals and long-term goals. A lot of writers rely on systems like Pomodoro that requires 25-minute sessions. So it really varies, depends on the writer. But every writer finds their path. So some writers write for page count, some writers write for hour count. You have to find what is your comfortable space to write 3 pages at a time or 6 pages at a time or 3 hours at a time. What can you meet? What can you meet consistently? Because it's kind of like going to the gym. First few days are going to be really, really hard, especially when you haven't been in a little while. On day 12, 13, 14, you're going to hit your stride. And if you keep going, then you're going to be fine. And it's the same with writing. You just have to keep doing it in order to get comfortable with it. The beginning is always going to feel rusty and clunky. By the end, you're going to be hitting your stride.